hard to ignore. Ivy would never change. She'd forever appear to be 12, while her family and non-ever friends would grow up and eventually die. Ivy would remain on this earth forever. Her best friend, Abigail, had offered Ivy a solution, but it came with an unacceptable consequence. If Abigail turned Ivy back into a mortal, Ivy would lose all her memories. That was not something she was willing to do. Ivy's mom had died 4 years ago, and now existed only in photos, videos, and most importantly, memories. Ivy looked at her phone. It was after 7, and she deemed it safe to crawl out of bed. Her father wouldn't be too suspicious. If Ivy were mortal, she'd probably be asleep for 2 or 3 more hours. Downstairs, her dad sat in the kitchen with his laptop and coffee. Immediately, she felt something was wrong, even before her brain could logically put it together. She stood in the doorway, trying to figure it out. "Good morning. You're up early." Her dad greeted her with a smile, but it slowly transformed into a look of concern. "What's wrong?" "Where's Biscuit?" Ivy didn't wait for an answer. Instead, she ran to the family room. Biscuit was elderly by dog standards, maybe 17 or 18. The 20-pound mutt was a rescue, so Ivy and her dad didn't know his exact age. He used to sleep on Ivy's bed, but in the last few weeks, he'd preferred staying downstairs in the living room. He didn't seem to have the energy to go far. Biscuit lay motionless on his dog bed, looking peaceful between the Christmas tree and the fireplace. Ivy knew he was gone, because Biscuit always raised his head and wagged his tail when she walked into a room. "Biscuit?" she whispered. He did not move. Ivy sank to her knees in front of the lifeless dog. He'd always been part of her life. There were pictures of Ivy and Biscuit in a plastic kiddie pool, sharing ice cream, and on walks with Ivy in a stroller, Biscuit on a leash. Her mom was in some of those pictures too. Now both her mom and Biscuit had left her. Ivy's hand shook as she placed it on Biscuit's back. He felt the same. Not cold, not gone. "Please don't die," she wished. Then suddenly, her chest filled with an icy feeling, like she'd inhaled a breath of Arctic air. She knew what was happening and only had a moment to consider her choice. Ivy loved Biscuit and was not ready to say goodbye. Stay, stay, stay. The decision was made. She leaned forward and released the icy air across Biscuit's snout. She didn't know how to do this, not exactly, but the action felt right. It had to work. "Oh, Ivy." Her dad approached from behind. She didn't know how long he'd been there. He knelt next to her and ran a hand over the motionless dog. "You were the best boy." Ivy didn't speak. She kept her eyes on her dog. It felt like hours were ticking by, but it was only seconds before Biscuit let out a breath. The mist swirled from his nostrils and disappeared into the room. Then he jumped up and spun in a tight circle. "You're okay!" "I thought..." Her dad stared at the energetic mutt. "You gave us a scare, boy." Biscuit darted across the room and jumped up on the couch, then the armchair, then the ottoman. Her dad ran a hand over his stubbly chin. "I would have sworn that..." "Let's just be happy Biscuit is okay." Ivy stood, and her dog ran over and jumped up on her. His paws only reached her waist. She rubbed his fuzzy head.